Hey everyone, Planet Mitch, giveawayrocket.com, and it is Friday, and for those of you tuning in, I'm late, and I haven't done a live video this week because I've been kind of sick, but that's not important right now, is it? I'm feeling better today, and I haven't done a whole lot of sharing of good stuff, so what I'm going to do is do a tutorial today. If anybody's tuning in, thank you for tuning in. I'd love to see you comment or give me thumbs up or thumbs down. But what I'm going to do is a tutorial on how on Facebook. Oh man, this is the part that's going to get edited out, right? I'm going to do a tutorial on upViral fraud detection and what it does and what it doesn't do, and I'm going to cover a lot of different things. All right, so I'm gonna edit that part out when I save this because that whole part was icky. But that's what happens when you've been sick and troubled. So while I go through this, if you want to ask questions that are pertinent to what's going on, that's great. I'll be happy to answer those. Not a problem putting those in the tutorial. There's my cat. Hard to see her, I guess. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a tutorial on fraud detection and answer your questions. So if that's of interest, stay tuned and ask away. Fraud detection inside of upViral is something that is vital, but I think the vast majority of people don't totally understand the way that it works. And in doing the Win Together program that's going on right now, several people have asked questions. We posted a question in a poll inside of upViral about what people thought they should do, whether they should have it turned on or off, and what they were doing with it. And the vast majority of people said they had it turned on, but when I asked specific questions about it, they didn't have answers. So I think there's a lot of confusion about upViral's fraud detection and what actually happens. So I'm going to walk you through that whole process, and let's dive right in. So I am going to make sure that it swaps. There it goes. Hopefully my picture is out of the way. And yes, I'm checking to make sure my audio is working this time, because it didn't work last time. If you go into your upViral campaign, there's a couple of things you need to know, but we're specifically talking about the advanced settings, which is down here in the lower left. And as I scroll down towards the bottom of the page, there's this section here that says automatically deactivate fraudulent leads. And there's this thing called email verification. Now, I currently have both of them turned off. If you don't, all right, so let's go into, that's not where I wanted to go, the settings. So I am in settings, general settings. And inside of general settings, there's a blacklist and there's a whitelist. Now, we're talking about the whitelist because it applies to what you're doing in your testing, when you're testing a campaign. And if you register once for your own campaign, and then you come back again and say you're testing the referrals, make sure the points are adding up for your referrals, then you're coming in with your referral link, and you want to make sure that works. But then you get hit with this CAPTCHA thing, this little pop-up that says, hey, you got to check for cars and buses and traffic lights and whatever Google or whoever's doing that right now puts up there, and it's frustrating. It'll slow you down in your testing. Now, if you put your IP address, and this is my IP address, and I know you can't steal it because that's mine. If you put your IP address in here, then you won't be asked that CAPTCHA, right? You won't have to go through that process. Now, they say, whitelist IPs, that you don't want to get blocked by your anti-spam systems. That doesn't mean you won't get caught in the fraud detection. So again, if you're watching live and you have any questions, feel free to pop those in. that's the first part I want you to pay attention to. Now, if you don't know how to do that, by the way, you can find out what your IP address. You can go to what'smyip.com, if you see up there in the corner, and I'm pointing with my finger, but you guys can't see that, right? What'smyip.com, you can find out what your IP address is and plug it in there. upViral used to show you what your IP address was down here, and for some reason they don't do that anymore. I don't know. All right, so that's the first thing in settings. Now, the second thing in settings is, if you want to do this, and this is an extra bonus step that I advise you not to do right now, all right? There is something called the email list verify in the settings under other, under integrations other. I've had really poor results with this. I have tried to communicate with the people doing email list verify. It flags some people as, is it zoomed in a lot? Thank you, Bradley. Let me push that out a bit. Oh my. Oh, I see what you mean. I must have done that when I scrolled over. Wow. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that, Bradley. Is it better now? Well, that means I've just screwed up my tutorial big time, right? We'll keep going. I'll fix that. So email list verify, and thank you again, Bradley, for pointing that out. Email list verify is a system that supposedly checks everybody that registers and checks them against, bad domains, all this kind of stuff. And what I've gotten is, in testing that, a lot of inappropriate responses. It blocks some people that have valid emails, and it lets some through. I wrote them multiple times. They said, yeah, you're right. Those ones that you're reporting should have not been caught. Anyway, so I turned it off. I don't ever use this email list verify. But if I go back to the settings, which maybe you can now see, sorry, these two boxes here automatically now I can probably blow it up. Automatically deactivate fraudulent leads and email verification. Now, if you don't have that email verification system set up, if you're not over here in, sorry, I'm going to the wrong tab, using email list verify, then this option, email verification, won't even show up. All right, so if you don't see that, don't panic. That's because I have that integration set up, but I don't have it turned on. Now, this is the biggie question. Automatically detect, I say it wrong, deactivate fraudulent leads. Now, this is where you really have to pay attention. And what I discovered was that this makes a big deal, not only in fraud detection, but in whether or not the winner selection allows the tool to pick somebody or not. Okay, and that's going to be important to potentially some of you people. If this is turned off, so let me keep going a little bit. So inside this campaign, I've got called Intro to upViral, and I'm just checking the comments. Inside this campaign, I have 8 people registered. They're all me. And notice that sometimes my IP address is this weird, wacky number, and sometimes it's this one. But I have both of those in the whitelist. But again, the first thing to pay attention to is that that whitelist does not turn you off from showing up in fraud detection, right? That's why I went through that part first, because I still show up in fraud detection when I am registered, on my own computer, right? So let's bounce over here. That's not the one. That's not the one either. All right, so let me just go close this because I keep getting confused. I'll close that. We'll figure this out, right? So if I go to fraud detection, what you're going to see is that some of the emails that I have registered with show up as fraud, and I cutely named them fraud inside the email because I thought they were going to be bounced into fraud. But the status is different. Some of them are green and some of them are red. And what I was doing was switching that first switch on and off, this automatically deactivate fraudulent leads, while I was doing testing. So these first 3 I did with that switch off, and the last 3 I did with that switch on. All right? Now, what does that mean? What happens when you're green or red here? If the status is green, then what this says is that lead is activated and sent to your campaign. Now that means 2 things. If you have your upViral set to send over to your autoresponder, like MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or whatever, then even though they're listed here as fraud, quote unquote, they will go over to your autoresponder as valid leads. Now, some people want that switch turned off because they don't want those people sent to the autoresponder. All right, so this gets kind of convoluted, but I hope you understand that you really need to know what's going on here in order to do things properly. And I hope I'm saying this clearly enough that it makes sense. If you send, let's say this goes over to my autoresponder as fraud10@planet5d.com, and that's an invalid address. It's not really, but pretend it is, right? Let's pretend it says fraud10@abc.com. The autoresponder, when you send emails to that email address, if it's an invalid or fake email address, your autoresponder is going to get a message back that says that's an invalid email address, and it's going to flag that inside your autoresponder as invalid or bounced or whatever. There are multiple ways that it could flag that. Your autoresponder, if they're doing things properly, will then not charge you for that email address. You should not be paying for a bounced email address inside your autoresponder. So I agree that sometimes I don't want those going into my autoresponder. It would be nice if that wasn't sent over there. But even if it is, it's not really a problem because it's going to be bounced. It's going to be flagged as invalid by that process. All right. Now, can that person earn points? If it's green, the answer is yes. They can earn points by doing referrals and all the different things that happen inside upViral. The last question, which most people don't understand, and frankly, I didn't understand it until I did some testing, is if it's green, then they could also be a winner inside of the winner's draw inside of upViral. If it's red, they don't get sent to your autoresponder, they don't earn points, and they can't possibly win your prize. Now, why do we care about that, especially the winning part? I care about it a lot, and I was going to bring up a particular campaign to show you something, and I didn't get it ready. But so I'll just tell you, if you click on the email address, it takes you into the details. And notice I had flagged this person as a winner before because I was doing testing. That's okay. Notice down here it says possible fraud detection. Simply because I registered on multiple emails from the same IP address, it has been flogged because it says marked as fraud by same IP address. Now, the gentleman that I was talking about before worked really hard in one of my contests and was the most points winner for that campaign. Inside upViral, he had 1,000 subscribers. I've forgotten the exact number. 1,000 subscribers, but 27 of them were flagged as possible fraud by upViral. So he had this label up here as possible fraud, but he had a 900 and whatever, I can't do math, 975 valid people that were working. I saw they had points. If I had one, you could see there were points down here, and those people were earning their own points and they were doing a lot of work. Now, just because upViral flagged him as fraud doesn't mean he's really necessarily fraud. I can't talk today. I wrote him and I talked to him multiple times. Turns out he lived in a college dorm. And he was passing that. He put up flyers. He handed out flyers to people who were interested. It was a photography gear thing. It was a camera. And so he was working his tail off trying to get people to register. And those people that did register that were marked as possible fraud were just because they were in the same dorm building as him. And they were all using the same IP as us, the same router, right? And therefore, I went ahead and let him win the prize. Now, if I had left it alone, and this had, let's say that was him, and this was marked as red, he wouldn't be earning those points. He wouldn't be eligible to win the prize. And yet, I think he was a valid lead. He was important for the campaign. So, I think it's very clear. Now, I could, let's say fraud 18 here was somebody that I deemed as valid when I looked at their details. Obviously, I don't know right now much about that, but I can click activate. And when I do that, that person will be sent to my autoresponder, and that person will now be flagged here. They're still in the fraud detection, but they're marked as clear and activated and possible to win the prize. So what you have to do, what I urge you to do, you don't have to do it, is to understand the process, understand what these flags really, really mean, and evaluate people in your campaigns to find out whether or not you think they should be eligible to win the prize or not. It's important to make sure that the people that work for you, the people that are working hard to earn points, are eligible to win the prize. Even the people that potentially only have 1 point, although realistically, if they only have 1 point, they're probably not going to be marked as fraud, right? But I still think it's very important for you to make sure that the people that are doing things that are eligible to win are marked as possibly able to win inside of fraud detection. Now, I could go through and show you the details of how I've tested this. And I've seen that people that are marked with red don't ever show up in the random draw selection. But trust me, that's what happens. So that's a fairly quick, although it's never really quick, to go through. Because there's a lot of details there that you have to pay attention to and understand the way the process works. So for those of you who are watching, do you have any questions? Was that clear? Did that help you understand the process or not? Or did I totally confuse everybody? I would really love to know what you think. Please let me know. Fraud detection is important. I got thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. And I apologize for having the screen fluky in the first part. Anybody with any questions today? I will be starting a new Win Together session in May. If you're interested in that, we have currently 20 people going through the process of learning how to create their campaigns and actually freaking launching their campaigns. So if you're interested in that, certainly let me know. All right, so the question is, can you please tell me if someone is green and then this is fraud? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Is it Tassos? Um, how can I take their points out and deactivate that email? Well, that's a good question. All right, I didn't show you absolutely everything. So let me switch back over to the screen. Thank you. I actually got your name right, sort of ish. So if you're seeing the screen, right, you have options. So I actually don't actually. I shouldn't admit this. I haven't actually tested this part. I mean, if it's green and I click clear, what's going to happen to fraud 10? It says they will clear the lead from fraud detection page, but will not delete the lead. So let's see what happens. Oh, and I noticed, by the way, we did test 18 before. So test 10, our fraud 10 is gone. Now, I don't think that changed anything. They're just not showing up here. Because if you're marked as green, you can still earn points, which the points don't show up here. I wish the points showed up on the screen. And you can't sort this. I've begged for this multiple times. I wish you could sort these columns. But I ask for things and I don't always get them. But that's okay. So the activation, we did the activation on fraud 18, right? So they're still showing here, and I assume if I click on fraud 18, it's going to say possible fraud detection, but I don't believe that anything has really changed other than they're eligible to win a prize. Well, okay, lots of things have changed. They're eligible to win a prize, they're eligible to earn points, and they're sent over to the autoresponder. So if I go over to leads, I'm going to click on leads. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to show you. If I click on leads and go to fraud 10, I suspect that it's not going to show possible fraud listed here, even though they were on the list. That's kind of why I leave them there. I don't remove them from the page because I still potentially want to see that they were marked as fraud. Maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. You could always click on delete to delete a lead. So if I click on delete fraud 11, this will delete this lead. Do you want to continue? I'm not going to do that. But let's suppose we blacklist fraud 11. Notice this is a drop down. You can do blacklist by email, blacklist by IP address, and do both. So if I do that, I'll just do blacklist by email. And what that's going to do is if I go back over to, I'll click here and I'll go to settings, general settings. Hi, Sharita. Then in this blacklist, you will see fraud 10 and fraud 11. Why is fraud 10 there? I didn't do both. I'm going to have to double check that. What is the difference between delete and clear? Do I still have the question up there? Okay. I do have, what's the difference between delete and clear? All right. Great question. So delete. So right now we are in fraud detection. I'm going to open leads. I'm going to command click so that I open leads. And you will see that fraud, which one are we on? Fraud 11. I get confused. I'm going to close that. Fraud 11 is the first one here. So if I do delete, not only does it go off of the fraud list, right now, I haven't refreshed this, but here's fraud 11, right? We're on 11. I'm going to refresh the leads list, and fraud 11 is gone. So delete means this guy has been a cheater pants, and I don't want him to win. I don't want him in my email. Now, it does not, when you delete a lead from here, it does not go over to your autoresponder and say delete that from your autoresponder. So be clear that you could potentially still have fraud 11 in your autoresponder lists. Okay? upViral does not go over and yank those people out. But clear. All right, so let's look at fraud 12 in details, right? I want to make sure this clear thing is clear. Possible fraud detection. All right, so let's give you some valid data here, right? So I'm going to copy this referral link, and I'm going to open an incognito window, and I'm going to paste that in. All right, so there is the campaign. I'm pausing because I didn't think that was going to be the campaign that showed up for 62546. We're in 62546. I'll be darned. All right. Oh, I know. Okay, say. I wasn't expecting that campaign to show up, but that's because I created that, and oh, never mind. If I refresh this now, there should be a visitor, right? So there's one visitor. I didn't have points turned on for that, right? But, so this is still inside of fraud detection. So, oops, I didn't know I had that window. We'll close those. We'll go over here. God, I had too many windows open. All right, close that, close that, close that. Oh, was I over? Where was I? I guess I got rid of it, didn't I? So new, paste, go in here. All right, so let's pretend I'm going to enter, right? So we're going to put TASOS. I'm going to put TASOS, and we're going to use email.com. I know that's not your real email address, but that doesn't matter. All right, so if I come back over here, now there's going to be one subscriber, right? And I should have points. So this is on a green email address, right? Fraud detection, let me just make sure. Let me come over to fraud detection. And notice that fraud 12 now has one referral, which wasn't there before, right? Because we're on fraud 12, excuse me. And now fraud 12 has 21 total points. So when you're green, your status is green, you can earn points. And that was sent over to the autoresponder, and they are eligible to win the prize. Okay? If it's red, it's not sent to the autoresponder, it's not earning points, and it's not eligible to win a prize. So that's the major difference here. Now, I could clear fraud 12, but the only difference is they're just not going to appear on this list. Okay, they're not going to show up as possible fraud anymore if I click clear. If I do delete, that means they're gone. They're no longer eligible to win the prize, and they're going to be mad. Don't do that. Unless it's somebody that you know has been cheaty pants and is doing bad, nasty things. Does it make sense? Does that answer the what's the difference between clear and delete? Hopefully it does. All right. Anybody have any other questions? That's a great question. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to be done. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Bradley and Tesos, for telling me I screwed up at the beginning. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any interest in building an awesome contest, let me know. Oh, you have one more. Tassos or Tesos, I don't know, whichever. Yes, you have one more question. I'll stall. I'll hesitate while you type. I wish these tools would tell me who's actually here. I see a number that says there's 3 people here, but I don't know whether anybody is left. Ah, all right. I guess I should. I'm going to have to re-record this, I can tell. All right. I did not put the filter of fraud at the beginning. All right, so if I go back and refresh your thoughts, when I did not put the filter on at the beginning, right? So the second part of the question is, the system sent the emails through the upViral email system. So if that switch is turned off, if that deactivate leads is turned off, they're marked as possible fraud inside fraud detection with the green status. Somebody who has the green status is getting emails from upViral. They're earning points. Their email was sent over the autoresponder, etc. Right? So all of those things are true. They're like a live person. They're just showing up on the fraud list. Live person. If the switch was turned to red, if the switch was turned on, then people get marked as red and they don't get emails. They don't get, I think they actually get the fraud detection email that says you've been marked as fraud. But I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to have to do more testing. Dang it. You have to ask me more questions. I'm not sure. You said, and then I got blocked from upViral. I don't know. Do you mean the situation where you got the red spam thing at the top of your upViral? Is that what you mean when you say you got blocked by upViral? I can show you that, actually, because I'm currently blocked by upViral in terms of this. So if I go over to settings, general settings, notice I'm using SendGrid for all outgoing email. If I swap this over to use upViral email servers and scroll down here to the bottom or up to the top, I can't see it because of this comments window, and do save. Notice when I go to my dashboard, I get a big wrist. See, they took it away from me. They must have fixed me. I used to have big red notice up here that I couldn't send for upViral emails because I had been marked with spam. And I guess they watched one of my videos and saw me turn that on and off, and they unblocked me. But I send everything right now through SendGrid. So I can't show you that. So I'm still not sure I understand. You said can I be whitelisted again? I don't know what that, I still don't understand when you say I got blocked from upViral, what that means. Happy to answer this question, but I got to understand completely what you mean by I was blocked by upViral. So you gotta help me there. Let me switch back to my face, my smiley face. If you're blocked from somebody else's campaign, if they blacklist you, then you got to go talk to them. All right, so what you're telling me, what I think I'm reading in your message, is that upViral is posted on your screen that you have sent too much spam, and they have blocked you from sending email via upViral. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean by send email notifications through upViral servers? If so, you either have to write them and get that unflagged, which typically they will do. Okay, you said correct. So your two choices are you have to write upViral and say, I want you to unspam me. And most of the time, I think they do. Remove that. Or what you have to do is what I was showing you a second ago. I'll switch back over here. Is to use a tool like SendGrid or Amazon SES to send your email so you're not using upViral servers. That's your two choices. Any of these, Postmark, SendGrid, and Amazon, will cost you a little bit of money to send your emails out. But you get more delivery information. You get potentially better delivery because if upViral's been flagged by all of the spam services, and I actually have, Tassos, I have a video on how to set that whole thing up. If you want that, ping me or comment, and I'll try to remember to go get that for you. It's not easy. It's not hard to set up. Heck, we're here. Let me go over to SendGrid, and I'll quickly log in. Hopefully I am logged in. Let me log in. Come on, log me in. So that one of the nice things about using a service like SendGrid, and I think I'm paying $9.95 a month or something, is that you can go into the activity. So I clicked on activity over here, and I'm just going to click on show all. But you can actually see with a tool like SendGrid what emails are going out. Look, hey, look, there you are. But that's the fake one I did. Okay, I understand. But you can see the emails that are going out. And look, here's one that went or didn't go to, it says not delivered. So you can actually see the status of emails that go from upViral. And I'm using this for other services, which is where this one came from. But you can see a lot more detail in your emails than what upViral provides you. So you can see when things aren't delivered or when people are flagged, right? So this goes on and on and on if I scroll down. But it does cost you a little bit of money, but it takes you away from getting blocked by upViral if for some reason too many emails get flagged as spam. And it gives you a lot more information about what's happening to the emails that go out. And I think that's extremely valuable for people when you're running a campaign, especially if you're doing this for a client and you want to see what the delivery statuses are and whether emails are actually going out to people. Because the only way you have to see that information inside of upViral, and I keep switching on and off, but let me go back just for fun. If I go into, no, I don't want to save that. Oops, come on. I did an accident there. If I go into a particular campaign, for example, if I go to, I haven't sent out any emails there, the intro to upViral that we were just looking at, and you go into stats, and you go into email metrics, this is the only freaking data you get out of upViral, which is good stuff. Thank you for signing up. Total recipients, how many opened, and what the open rate is. That's good information, right? For each email type. None of these rates are valid because this is just test, right? But you can see this data here. But it's not, I'm about to sneeze. It's not the same kind of data that you get in more detail with SendGrid or one of the other tools. I haven't used Postmark or Amazon AES, so I don't know what details they provide. But I know SendGrid, obviously, gives me all that kind of data. So I could, in that SendGrid, let me swap back over here. I mean, I could actually search for TASOS. I don't know if it makes me put in the whole email. But, you know, if you're looking for a specific person to see whether or not they got their email and whether it was opened, you can see that information here that you can't obviously see inside of upViral. I've begged and pleaded for them to add some email tracking here to be able to see, okay, who opened all of those emails? Who are those 2 people that opened? But they haven't done that for me. Ha! Me. For us, because they say that's too difficult. I think they're wrong. But anyway, one last thing that I meant to tell you way back a long time ago, and that's not the spreadsheet I wanted to show you. That was all the software that I've been buying. Too much. Too many shiny objects. If you do your export, anybody that showed up as fraud gets exported. So if I go back to upViral and we look at the leads, you see fraud 10 and 12 here. Fraud 18. Huh. Fraud 18's not here, is it? Huh. See, I'm confused. Now I'm confused. Now you got me confused. Am I looking at the right data? Let me do this. All right, so let's 100% check, right? Fraud detection, we have fraud 16 and fraud 17 marked with red, and fraud 18 is marked in green now. So let's do leads, export, and I'm going to go over here to numbers, and I'm going to close that just so that I don't get confused. I'm going to open this one, and okay, good. I'm sorry. I'm going to make it full screen, and I'm going to make it so you can see it 200%. Let's make it 300% just so you make sure you can see it. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen again, am I? Dang it. Why is that not sharing my screen? You guys should make me show you the stuff. So fraud 18, let me go back and show you because I screwed up. On fraud detection, I apologize. I need to glance over at that screen and make sure things work the way they're supposed to work. Fraud 18 is listed as green. Fraud 16 and 17 are marked as red. Fraud 16 and 17 do not show up on this list. Right? So the red ones don't get exported either. They don't show up in your export either. Now, what I'm confused by, what got me messed up before, was this says there's 9 leads, right? I'm confused. I'm really confused. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I'm going back to fraud detection. You guys see me learning right here. This one says fraud 17, right? Fraud 16. Oh, so what's happening? Oh, see? I'm confusing myself. Hey, self, now I understand. So there are 9 exported, right? It says 9 over here. There are, nobody's screaming at me, giving me this answer, so you guys must be as confused as I was. There are 2 leads showing up here as red, 16 and 17, but if I go back over to the leads, notice there's 9 leads, and 16 and 17 don't show up here. So they don't even show up as leads inside of the upViral leads page if they're marked as red on fraud detection. Whew. See, this stuff gets confusing, doesn't it? Oh my. So hopefully that helps and doesn't confuse the jeebers out of you like it does me sometimes. But as I said before, I firmly believe that if you understand this, if you really are going to run campaigns inside of upViral, especially if you're going to do them for clients and they're paying you to run a great campaign, you got to totally understand this stuff. And even I forget or don't really understand how things work. If you're the right kind of person, I'm not. I just say that. If you're doing things right, what you're going to do is you're going to set up a test campaign like I did, and you're going to run through this process multiple times so that you completely understand. You don't do it on a live campaign. You play with it on a test campaign like I've done with Intro to upViral. I use that thing all the time for testing and for training purposes. Obviously, you're not doing training. But if you're going to run a campaign, you really need to understand how this stuff works, right? I'm going to go back and show you one more thing before we go. Seeing as how I've gone an hour on this topic and messed it up multiple times already. But let's go to the view winner thing, right? Now, I have picked a whole bunch of people as winners, which I was just... Now, this delete, don't be confused. This is not deleting the person. If I click delete, notice it says, are you sure you want to unpick the winners? Oh, there's an unpick all winners. There you go. Thank you, upViral. I want to unpick all winners. All right, so we know fraud 17 and 16, wasn't it, right? So 16 and 17 are marked as red, but fraud 18 and 12 are green. So let's just go in and let's pick, let's see, there's 9, 10, 11 people, right? So if I pick 11 winners, right? Okay, let's just have fun. Let's pick them all. There's 11 people in our database. 9 of them are showing up in as valid people, right? So if I do pick winners, I bet you a dollar there's 9 people listed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Notice I said I wanted 11 winners. upViral should have given me fraud 17 and 18 if they were valid potentially to win, right? But notice again, these two people that are green, fraud 12 and 18. I said those numbers wrong. I mean, you understand. I get confused, right? But 12 and 18 are listed here. So if they're green, they can win. If they're red, they're a nobody to you. They can't earn points. They can't show up as a lead. They can't do export. They're nobody. So it all depends upon how you have that switch set. I hope this has been valid, helpful. I obviously have to record this again because I've gone through way too many gyrations and difficulties. But in terms of pure tutorial, this hour is too much for that. But thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, if I haven't answered them or if I've totally confused you, please go ahead and comment below. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a good weekend. If you're interested in the Win Together program for May, we're going to start in May 1st, where you will build your campaign alongside of a whole bunch of other people, as well as learning all of this stuff in a really hardcore environment, because I'm hardcore, baby. Then let me know, because that's coming up May 1st. That's when it's coming up. 49 minutes in. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever's thumbing me. See, I can't see that either. I wish I could see that with this tool. Let me know, again, if you have any questions. Somebody else new just popped in. If you've just popped in, you've missed a doozy of Mitch screwing up a bunch of different things, but teaching you a lot about fraud detection. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. I will try to be live on Monday morning, except I think I have a meeting Monday morning at 10. Hi, Sharita, you're still here. You must have been doing other things. You're welcome, Sharita. Thanks for tuning in. Tassos, thanks for asking awesome questions. I hope that's helped you. If it has, if you know other people that are trying to run contests or should be running contests like Sharita, tune in next week and we'll talk more about how to get involved. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
I had a fun time. Now turn that off.